Hey guys, today we're going to do a little bit of extra practice / review, so we're not going to be learning anything new, just kind of reviewing some stuff from the chapter. And then your homework today is a worksheet, which you probably have already seen by looking at the learning target and the daily agenda. But before we get to that, I want to finish up one more example that is in your notes. There's 4 different types of angles that we talked about, and I want to review those with you real quick, and then we'll get to the picture. Picture might look a little intimidating, but when you kind of just break it down and look at each angle separately, hopefully I can help you out with that. So first one we talked about was a central angle. Remember, central angles always equal their arcs. They will always have the exact same measurement. The second type we talked about is inscribed angles. Those ones will always be half of their arc. Okay, then we talked about the interior angles where we did 1/2 arc plus arc. Okay, its arc and its vertical angles arc. And then we had exterior angles where we did 1/2 and we took big arc minus little arc. Okay, so if you need to refresh on any of that, again, you can look back in your note packets, but hopefully by going over this, you're going to feel pretty good about it here. Okay, so you'll notice you've got 10 different ones that you need to find. Now, you want to kind of do this in order. Okay, it's always easiest to start with the one they kind of give you first, and kind of go that way and you can fill some stuff in. Okay, first thing you want to do anytime you're given big circles like this is you want to fill in your arc measurements first. Okay, you'll notice on this one they do tell you that arc AB is 70. That's in your directions up top. They tell you that BC is 50, so that would be down here. And then they tell you that DE is 40. Yes, DE is 40. Okay, so you'll notice we still have 2 missing ones, one here and one here. Remember, after you fill in what's given to you, you always want to look for a diameter, because the diameter will break it into our semicircles, which will give us our 180. Okay, so if you look here, you'll notice that EB is a diameter. Okay, so that means 40, the one I'm missing, and 50 all have to equal 180 together. So that means this guy would have to be 90. Obviously, mine's not drawn to scale very well. Yours is a little bit better than mine is on your paper. Okay, same thing up here. Okay, if that is a diameter, then that means that this one and this one have to equal 180. So that means I have 110 left for this one. Okay, always want to start with that. Okay, and then we're going to go in order here. So we're going to find angle 1 first. Okay, so measure of angle 1. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to identify what type it is. Okay, so angle 1 would be an inscribed angle because its vertex is on the circle itself. Okay, so if it's inscribed, that means it's going to be half its arc. Okay, so I want to follow my angle 1 out, and I can see its arc is from A to B. Its arc is 70, so that means it would have to be 1/2 70. So it would be 35 degrees. Again, you guys do not need to include labels on your Google assignments. I actually prefer you don't because I didn't put them in my answers. So it actually counts them wrong, and then I go back and look at them and say, oh no, it was fine. But if you just don't do it, it does save me a little bit of time when it comes to the grading. Okay, again, next one then is measure of angle 2. Okay, so measure of angle 2, if you look over here, you'll notice 2 is also inscribed. Okay, because it is on the circle as well, so it's going to be half its arc. Now, be careful when you look at its arc, though, because 2 goes all the way out here from A down to C. So its arc is all the way from A all the way to C. So 70 plus 50 actually gives me 120. So I need to do half of 120, which will give us 60 degrees for its angle. So again, be very careful with that. You have to make sure you get the entire arc. Okay, next one we've got is angle 3. Okay, angle 3 you can notice is a random interior one. I know that N's kind of in the way here. Maybe I'm better off moving that up here. N is this point right here, or excuse me, N is our center, so we'll get that down there. Maybe that'll make a little more sense. Okay, so 3 is right here. That is on the inside because this is my center. So it's a random interior one, which means it's going to be half of its 2 arcs added together. Okay, so if I follow angle 3 out, I can see it's from A to B, so its arc is 70. And then I also need to do its vertical angles arc. So if I go to its vertical angle, which would be right here, its arc goes from E to D, so that would be 40. So I take 1/2 of 110, which would end up giving us 55. For measure of angle 4, 4 is all the way out here. You'll notice 4 is an exterior angle because it is outside of the circle. Okay, so exterior angles are 1/2 the big arc minus the little arc. Okay, so if I follow 4 out, I can see its little arc is going to be the 40. If I follow it out further to A and C, its big arc is this whole 120 again. Again, having to add those two together to get the whole thing. So big arc minus little arc would be 120 minus 40. That would give us 80, and half of that would be 40. And 5. So for angle 5, you've got it over here. Okay, notice it's just that little part right there. Okay, now it is treated as inscribed, even though it's not officially an inscribed because it is on the circle. So it's going to be half its arc. Remember, for these ones, we ignore the tangent because that's just going off into no man's land. Okay, I just have to follow where the vertex is down to where it gets my circle again. Okay, so it would end up being this 70-degree arc, and half of 70 then would end up giving us 35 for angle 5. Okay, so that would be half of the ones we had to find. Now we'll go back and find the other ones. All right, so on to 6. Okay, 6 you will notice is also inscribed. Also notice 6 is going all the way from here to here. There's that little arc there to try to show you the full distance of what it's going. Those are not congruent markings. They're to help you know which ones you're working with. Okay, so 6, if I follow it here, it goes to E. If I follow it here, it goes to B. That's a diameter. Remember, anytime you have an inscribed angle with its endpoints on the diameter, it will always be a right angle, no matter what. Okay, so it's always going to be 90 degrees, which would make sense because my semicircle would be 180. Half of that would give me 90. Okay. For 7, okay, 7 over here, 7 is inscribed as well because it's on the circle. If you follow it, it goes A all the way to E. A to E is 110, so it would be half of 110, which would give you 55 degrees for 7. For angle 8, 8 you'll notice is right here. 8 should actually be at the center. Sorry about my poorly drawn picture. Okay. 8 is a central angle on yours. You'll notice that it is at the center N. Okay, which makes it a central angle. Central angles are the same as their arcs, so it would have to also be 50 degrees. For 9, so you'll notice 9 is also inscribed. 9 is just this tiny little guy here. Okay, it's inscribed though, so it's going to end up being half its arc. So if you follow 9 out, you would have E and you would have D. So its arc would be 40, so half of 40 would give us 20 degrees. And last but not least is measure of angle 10. 10 is also treated as inscribed up here because it's on the circle. It's one of those tricky ones though because again the tangent goes off this way, so I don't worry about that. I just come this direction, I see it goes to E. So A to E is 110. So half of 110 tells me that it would be 55 degrees. Okay, so hopefully that kind of helps clear it up. It also gives you a really good review of all the angles in the chapter. Okay, because we do now finish up the chapter, which means we will have a quiz and a test coming up. So if you need to see me at my office hour, feel welcome to do that. Otherwise, if things are going pretty good, that's awesome. Okay, otherwise, have a great day.